I'm the only one who needs a banner.
What an amazing session you are about to watch. I had the pleasure to bring Alan to speak with you about something that we all need help with, how to improve our LinkedIn profiles. And you might get a bonus that you are not really expecting. Stay until the end and check what you can do to improve your profile.
If anyone wants to help redesign my LinkedIn banner to lead to call to action, I want people to get a better job. Go to this workshop. What's the best window to apply to jobs? Right now, September surge. This is the best time of year. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Carla, for having me. I'll share a little bit about me shortly. The best way to find out about me, though, is to scan the QR code or check out my LinkedIn profile, follow me there, because I lay it all out there. I'm very transparent, but I'll share a little bit more about me and my background. We have a really good giveaway. It's worth like $129. We're giving it away for free. A little bit about me. Throughout my 25 years career in the corporate world, I've worked for 22 companies, had 31 jobs, worked for 38 bosses. I've hired, fired, been hired. I've promoted people. I have been passed over for promotion. I've seen it and done it on the inside. And then also I have hired people as well. I worked at Google for 5.5 years. I worked for Meta. I worked for American Express. I worked for Tableau. I worked for Salesforce in customer success, operations, marketing roles. I have not done UX myself, but I work closely with UX teams, especially during my time at American Express and sometimes at Meta as well. So I'm familiar with UX, but I'm not a UX expert. What I am an expert in is getting jobs and hiring people for jobs. So I'll talk a little bit about that, but as it relates to LinkedIn. That's me actually at the LinkedIn headquarters in New York. They actually have a room named after me, just coincidentally, but I'll take credit for it. I started on LinkedIn as an early adopter. I started back in April of 2004 when I went to business school. That's the bobblehead that my sister got me after graduating from business school. That kind of looks like me a little bit. And a lot of the paint is worn off the face in life and on the bobblehead. But I joined LinkedIn back in 2004 and LinkedIn started in 2003. Here is where my actual LinkedIn number is. I joined less than a year later. I've been on LinkedIn more than 99.6% or 99.56% of the LinkedIn members. Now there's about 1.2 billion people on LinkedIn. If you want to figure out what number you are, you can take this screenshot and do it later. I want to share how job acquisition works. And a lot of people call it job search. At Kadima Careers, and I can tell you a little bit about what we do at Kadima, as a career accelerator, we look at it as job acquisition. You're not just searching for a job, you're looking to acquire a job. So that's how we think about it. There are 3 ways to be considered for a job. You can apply cold. A lot of people are familiar with this, whether on Easy Apply on LinkedIn, on the first-party job sites, on Indeed. That has a very low likelihood of success, especially when you have all these AI resumes being shot out and all these AI filters searching for it. If you worked at good companies, if you worked in an industry, a specific industry, if you have some specific skills, a recruiter might reach out to you. Take every interview, but beware of people that reach out to you. It's like getting hit on at a bar, but I never got hit on by an attractive woman at a bar. So I always had to go reach out to the people that I wanted to talk to. Take every interview, give it an opportunity, but be wary of scams. Anyone who's asking you for your WhatsApp, your personal information, or your social security number. Try to keep the conversation on LinkedIn and be wary of any recruiter trying to take the conversation off of LinkedIn. Email is fine. Referred. This is the best way to get a job. 26 out of my 31 jobs have come because someone put in a kind word on my behalf. It doesn't mean you don't need to interview. It doesn't mean you don't need to impress people. But to get the door open for that interview, usually it comes with a referral or an advocate. Then you get into this job acquisition funnel. At the very top of the yellow, you're dealing with AI and ATS. You want to get out of there as quickly as possible to get to talk to human beings in the blue zone here. We're talking about how to get those interviews from LinkedIn. There's 2 ways to think about using LinkedIn: proactive and reactive. This book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the first habit of highly effective people is being proactive. It's recognizing that we are responsible for our own choices and have the freedom to choose based on principles and values rather than on moods and conditions. Proactive people are agents of change and choose not to be the victims, to be reactive, or to blame others. And in this job market, if you want a better job, especially this difficult job market, if you're not proactive, you're going to be at the whim of the economy and the job market, and good luck with that. If you look at how people are getting jobs, I shared some numbers before. I did this poll recently on LinkedIn. I do a poll every Saturday, but I asked how did people landed their most recent job? 2/3 of people applied on their own or were referred in. And that is being proactive. So I'll talk a little bit about how to apply cold. The referral tact is the most effective. So I'll talk a little bit about reactive here because that's how people generally, you almost need the reactive part and the defensive part before you're proactive. So reactive is what happens when someone comes and lands on your profile. What happens behind the scenes is there are recruiters on LinkedIn. There's a license called LinkedIn Recruiter. Unless you're a recruiter, you're not going to pay $9,000 per year for this license. We use these at Kadima because we're recruiters. Only recruiters use these. And they have these licenses that allow them to target people that they want to reach out to for opportunities. So what I'm going to share with you here is just making sure that your profile is optimized so that recruiters can find you easily. You need to have all these things. A photo, the banner, which by the way, I shared with Carla before, if anyone wants to help redesign my banner and gets a better banner suiting my needs, I will exchange that for a free half-hour coaching. But a photo, banner, intro, experience, schools that you attended, and location. So I'll share a little bit about how to optimize your profile on LinkedIn so when people happen to stumble across it, they can quickly tell that you're worth talking to. Profile photo. There are such terrible photos out there, and it's easy to get a decent one. You don't need to be perfect, but the headshot should be clear. A genuine smile is preferable, and dress in line with the job that you're seeking. So I think my photo now on LinkedIn is a t-shirt because I'm the boss. I can do whatever I want. When I worked at Google and Facebook and Salesforce, I wore t-shirts there too, except when I met with big bosses. Dress in line with the job that you're seeking. And if you look at the right side of the screen, this is how images show up to people. And if you don't have any image showing up, there is data out there that it will be significantly less likely that someone clicks on your profile. If your picture, like any of these red lights or the yellow light, if you can't see someone's face, it suppresses the likelihood that someone will want to interact with you. It's silly, it's psychology, and trust me, this just happened. So if you're going to have a LinkedIn profile, which everybody should have, you might as well have a decent photo on there. Next up, the intro section. So there is an intro section, and there are several different items that you can choose there. Audio recording. Pronouns used to be a positive thing. Now in this market, they're a negative thing. The headline is 220 characters. And then all of these areas, I'll go into some of this quickly here in this presentation. If you have a difficult name to pronounce, like my friend Lakshmi Natarajan, and I can say that because I've spoken to her a lot and I'm friends with her. But the first time I met her, I had no idea how to say her name. So LinkedIn offers this feature where you can record your name. You have to do it on your mobile phone. You can't do it on the desktop. And there is research out there that someone with Lakshmi Natarajan type name may not get as many recruiters or people to reach out to her because her name is hard to say and intimidating, and people will not reach out to her because of that. It's like a bullshit reason, but it happens, and there's research out there of why and there's reasons why it happens. So LinkedIn gives you this feature to record your name, and I encourage you to look at her profile or someone else's, see how that feature works. It's pretty cool, but you got to record it on your mobile device. Here are some things that you should consider when you are setting up your LinkedIn profile. Do you want to make your email visible? So on the left side, my email is visible. If any of you guys want, actually, it's not visible now because I was getting too many emails. But when I did want to get emails, I did have my email up there. And Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, does not want to get emails. He doesn't have his email there. But if you're in the market, I would put your email there. And if you have any links to your profile or things like that, you can put it in there as well. And there's other places to put it on LinkedIn. The fact of the matter is most people are not going to find it because LinkedIn's UI sucks and people looking there will not look for your profile, but you can always send that once you get a conversation going. But put your email on there if you're in the job market. And if you're concerned about spam, you can come up with an email that you use just for job searching. About section. About section has a 2,600 character limit. And I highlighted here, you can write about your years of experience, industry, or skills. People also talk about their achievements or previous job experiences. You can use this section any way you want, but understand that there's only the first 2 or 3 lines that show up, and most people will not click more to expand it. So while you may want to, you should put a little thought into how you want to communicate this, understand that most people will never see it. Experience section that people do care about and recruiters and hiring managers do care about are the type of companies you work at. When you set your experience, when you choose that box that I am currently working in this role, that means that icon goes to the top of your LinkedIn profile. So if you look at the top of my LinkedIn profile, you'll see Kadima Careers up there and Columbia Business School, and I'll tell you how to choose the schools as well. But you get that at the top of your LinkedIn profile. This is an example of a really shitty profile. This is horrendous. It's missing the banner. This person works at one of the most prestigious universities in the world for medicine, NYU. I'm sure people have heard of NYU and know that it's one of the best hospitals in the world. And she did not have a lot of connections. And this person, of her connections, 25% of them overlapped with me. So this person who had such a shitty profile, by the way, is my wife. So I can be honest with that. So Melanie is my wife. So it took a long while for her to listen to my advice, but her profile now looks like this. So she did change. She did get to meet with Oprah, and I got a picture with Oprah too, which was super cool. And so now her profile is a lot more impressive. She has the NYU logo there, which it looks a hell of a lot more impressive than that empty icon. She has 2,100 followers now, and anyone who's interested in obesity, you should check her LinkedIn out, and she has a great TED Talk on it. But anyway, there are ways that you can improve your LinkedIn profile. Education is another way to call out your profile. So with your education, you can lie, but if you got a certificate at MIT or Stanford or Oxford or whatever, you can put that at the top of your profile. You could order those any way that you want. So in my case, I graduated from Columbia Business School. I graduated from Binghamton University, which probably no one's heard of Binghamton University. And I dropped out of a PhD at University of Delaware, which probably people are not as familiar with. If Delaware was Stanford, even if I dropped out of there, I could have moved that up to the top. And at the top of my profile, it would say Stanford instead of Columbia Business School. Anyone who digs deeper into my experience, you don't want to lie, but you can choose which school and which company goes up top. The company that goes up top is based on which one you're currently employed at. So leverage that. Like if you're paying a lot of money for a big name brand university, you might as well flaunt it. So here's an example of this guy. He was a summer intern of ours. He's using all the good features. He has how his name is pronounced. He has that he works for Amazon Web Service. I would actually probably give him, no, AWS is just as good as Amazon. And the best university that he has attended, because he went, I think, undergrad to school in Venezuela, is he got an MBA from Simon Business School. So there are ways that you can, and he has a good profile photo there. If anything, I think his profile photo has changed. He's no longer in a suit and jacket because now he works at Amazon, but that was when he was in business school. Now he probably wears a button-down collar shirt. Licenses and certifications. It's not worth your time or money. So if you have them already, that's okay. Going forward, be very cautious about buying certificates and certifications. This is a profile. I'm crossing out the person's face and name not to embarrass them, but I call this like the alphabet soup of certifications. So he has a PMP, project management. I don't even know what the P stands for. CSM, I don't know what that means. SSM, I don't know what this shit means. And he puts MBA on there. Anyone who puts MBA on their profile, I tend to find did not go to a good MBA program. So that's one thing that I recommend people don't do there. The reason I cross this guy's face out is he's my brother-in-law. He hasn't taken it. My wife has. But you don't need to put that alphabet soup after your name. Volunteer experience. Volunteer experience is useful if you have it. And there's opportunity to use some subtle hints in there. This used to be more effective when companies were trying to hire for DEI. If you're applying to an industry, say you're applying to, you want to do UX or UI design for the ASPCA, the American Society of Prevention for Cruelty to Animals. If you volunteered there or you volunteered at some pet related industry, it's good to put that on your profile because then someone who's at that company will see that affinity there. So you don't need to put all of your interests in there, but you can choose the ones that are helpful and think about, does it help my situation? And if so, list it. Skills and recommendations. Skills are of minimal value, but use them anyway. They're low effort, low impact. You can select up to 100 skills, but do not associate them with a particular job. Because when you associate them with a particular job, it gets lumped in and it looks really awful. So if you look at my profile, you'll see that I have about 68 skills, but none of them are associated with individual jobs. Skills. Recommendations, on the other hand, are rarely considered by people, but are much more valued by both recruiters and hiring managers. So write recommendations. If you've worked with someone before, if you appreciate what Carla does at UX UI Hub, write her a recommendation. It will make you feel better, and you could potentially get reciprocity too. You can write recommendations for people. And this is one of our clients and a friend of mine. She's given 16 recommendations. She's received 13. And it's not going to make or break if I interview her. But when I see that someone has a few recommendations, then as a hiring manager, it causes me to read them and understand, oh, let's see, Marissa, she's a partner in the recruiting field. She mentored people. She learned how to develop relationships, amazing communication. So I'm seeing things in there that are very helpful for me as someone who's evaluating Marissa for a potential job.
So Mark asks, what about LinkedIn certifications that have these associated skills? LinkedIn occasionally gives away free courses for 24 hours. You can add the certification and therefore the skills only if you have premium, but they also give a occasional month premium free.
So if you are actively job searching and you're looking for a decent, like a six-figure plus job, it's well worth it for you to invest in LinkedIn Premium. So there are other features of LinkedIn Premium that are worth using in terms of reaching out to people, in terms of seeing who's looking at your profile, in terms of searching people more in depth. I wouldn't waste your time or money for that.
So Sand was saying, why is not worth your time and money to have certificates? I find that in design, you sometimes learn a lot through this.
If you want to learn, they're great. Google actually has a lot of great certification programs. HubSpot does, LinkedIn does. If you want to do it for learning, by all means do it and try to do it for free because there's stuff on YouTube. There's free certification. Google offers a lot, like a lot of Salesforce does. If you're doing it because you think it's going to get you a job, I'm telling you, it's not worth your time. Interests. The most important interests to worry about are companies. Follow any companies that you're targeting because when that recruiter is looking to reach out to people, there's a way for that recruiter to identify people that are open to work, people that are active on LinkedIn, and people that follow my company. So if you follow their company, that's going to increase the likelihood that someone from Deloitte. It's actually less important for these big companies, but if it's a smaller company or a more niche company, that's where it's even more important. But even following these big companies, it improves the likelihood that you are going to get jobs in your feed that from those companies. Open to work. People ask about open to work. I used to call it the cone of shame. So if you put that green open to work circle on, I likened it to my dog with a cone of shame on it. But I have changed my opinion on it. Some people think that being open to work with a green open to work looks desperate, but some people think it looks like you're available. If you don't have the open to work circle on, it might make you look more confident or that you're off the market. I used to tell people never put the green open to work circle on because it makes you look desperate. I have since changed my mind. And the reason why is I actually tested it. Every now and then I test it. I put it on, I take it off. I put it on, I take it off. And by the way, you can do that. I put it on for a few weeks. And within like a couple of days, this guy, Kyle, who I had interviewed with 17 months prior, and I sent him a thank you note, so I connected with him. He reached out to me and he said, notice you're open to work. And then he reached out to me for a job at Datadog. I previously interviewed with him at UiPath. He left there for Datadog, but he remembered me even though he didn't hire me there. And then he reached out to me. 20% of people think that you look more desperate and they won't reach out to you. 20% feel bad and will be more likely to reach out to you. And 60% don't give a shit. So do what you want to do. Be thoughtful, though, with how you display it. So when you do decide that you're open to work, you can decide if you're open to work to all LinkedIn members or just to recruiters only. And I suggest you always keep it open to recruiters only. There's no harm in that. Only the people that are spending $9,000 per year for that seat license can see that you're open to work, and no recruiters at your current company actually can see you. If you put the open to work on the top one, you're putting that green open to work circle on so that 1.2 billion people can see that you're open to work. So just be mindful of what you want to do and what message you want to share. So let's get proactive. First, leverage your contacts. So here's one good acceleration tip that you should remember. Download your contacts. You can download your LinkedIn contacts from LinkedIn. You can download it into a CSV. Then you can sort it. Then you can run pivots on it, and or like just look at where people are at their companies now, because people that you might have connected with 4 years ago might very well be at a different company. So looking at them in this way is helpful to refresh your memory of who might be working where, and it might be a good reminder to reach out and re-engage with people, because the power of loose connections is quite strong. So reconnecting with someone that you're loosely connected with can have rich rewards. You can also activate your network externally off of LinkedIn. So after I got my ass handed to me at Google, one of the 5 places I got fired from, I sent this note out to a whole bunch of people that I knew. So, and if anything, I probably should have been a little bit more concise with my email, and I've since cut this down. But sending out a message like this and asking for help can be very valuable. This was sent to a lot of my cold connections or like people that I've known in the past that I haven't connected with. And I got about 200, like I sent this out to about 1,000 people, I don't know, maybe 500 people, and I got about 100 or 200 responses for this. So I got a lot of help, and this actually led to some interviews as well. Leverage your alumni and affinity groups. You can still do this, but you can find people at your current university and people that are first or second degree connections. And I found 94 people that went to Binghamton University and worked at Apple. And then I sent a note like this to Chintan. Didn't know the guy from a hole in the head. I reached out. I said this. The things in yellow here is I used his name. People love their name. I talked about the commonality that we had. And I ended it with something whimsical, like that was our team mascot. And if you see, when you send a connection request, LinkedIn requires it less than 300 characters on premium, 200 characters on regular. And this can lead to conversations and connections and referrals and advocates. LinkedIn groups is another way to connect with people. Join groups that are relevant to you, UI, UX community, things like that. When you join those groups, all of a sudden you see everybody else who's in that group. So this was a group of Zooglers, ex-Googlers, and there's 4,000 people in there. And then all of a sudden I can message any of them and I can say, hey, Ashley, I'm a Zoogler too, like you. I see that you're in the Zoogler group, would love to connect with you about something. So now you can message them because you're in that same group. LinkedIn events. Here's another way. You can join events. They are very specific to industries or areas. And when you connect on those, so like this one, thriving as women innovators in tech and product. I'm not a woman. I am an innovator. I joined that anyway, just because most of these groups allow anyone to join. You can search for the group that you want. I joined this group and they let me in. I was just doing it really to show that most of these groups, anyone can go in, even though I'm not a woman. I do help women. But once you go into that group, you can see who the speakers are and you can see the 253 other attendees and you can message them. Although LinkedIn is limiting the ability to message them, you get more insight, you have more commonality, and you likely will be able to build a relationship proactively. You can connect. Oh, this is an example of connecting with someone from the event. I said this to Zoya. Again, like the things I highlighted is the name and being cordial and kind. Those are connecting with people.
We were at a webinar, and that's how I connect with you. We exchanged LinkedIn's there, and then we start a conversation on LinkedIn, and now he's here speaking for you.
That's exactly like how Carla and I met. I've not just gotten referrals for jobs, but I've met good friends. I've met lots of good friends on LinkedIn, but that's not the reason. You can be on LinkedIn for any reason, but it's a great way to connect with people. Applying for jobs. So I don't recommend applying for too many jobs on LinkedIn. That's the last resort, and I'll share with you where the best place to apply for jobs are. But when you go to the jobs tab, you can see jobs where you'd be top applicant at. And what LinkedIn is essentially doing is matching your background with jobs that are open. And that's going to be the most likely jobs that you're going to get a response from. You can apply through Easy Apply, but from someone who has posted jobs, there's a job that we have open that has Easy Apply. And when we put Easy Apply there, we get about like 4,000 applicants in 2 weeks. And Google gets about 18,000 applicants for jobs. When you get Easy Apply, everybody and their mother and dad can also apply. We were inundated with 4,000 applications that I had to sift through, which I basically just fed into AI and said, hey, find the top 10 for me to look at here. But Easy Apply means easy ghosting and easy ignoring as well. So that's one way to do it, but it's a lazy way to do it. The better way to do it is to apply with a purpose and a plan. Identify the companies where you want to target. Identify the boosters that you have there. If you want to apply for a job at Google, so you want to apply with a plan and purpose, and all these hyperlinks go right to the first party website of the job board. And these are examples. You don't need to copy these URLs down, but it's essentially Microsoft.com/jobs or Google.com/jobs or Salesforce.com/careers. When you apply on the first party website, there's lots of reasons why that's superior than applying for the same exact job here. And jobs here will be posted before jobs will be posted here because companies have to pay for this job slot and they do not need to pay for the job slots here. So they will have more jobs on their first party site than on LinkedIn site. And there's other reasons why not to do it. But if you're going to apply at the first party sites, don't get your job listings from LinkedIn and get them through this method of creating the spreadsheet and following the companies. So thank you notes. And I'll go through quickly here because I do want to leave plenty of time for questions. Do you write a thank you note? So this is bullshit. This is another one of my Saturday surveys. And I asked people, how often do you write thank you notes after a job interview? 57% of people said yes. I can tell you from a hiring manager's perspective, how often I got a thank you note. It's about 5 to 10% of the time. I used to it used to be more earlier in my career. And it probably used to be like 50% back in 2000s. And I used to have a rule that if someone did not send me a thank you note, I would just rule them out of the job, disqualify them. A boss of mine said, Alan, you're being stupid and you're losing out on good talent. So I stopped doing that, which was a good thing because in after I left American Express, when that boss told me that, when I went to Google, the thank you notes were like 5%, maybe 10%. It's amazing how few people send thank you notes, and it's amazing how impactful they can be if you just shoot a nice, simple thank you note. The power of a thank you note after you connect, after you interview, you can send a connection, add a note. I did not send this to Mark Cuban. I follow him. I'm not connected with him, but I said, "Hey, thanks for hearing my pitch on Shark Tank, like you, blah blah blah." And I said about the Mavs. He did not accept my connection, but I wasn't really on Shark Tank, and I don't even know if I sent that. But send a thank you note like this. And here's that Kyle Stout thing again that I showed you about the open to work thing. The reason why he reached out to me when he went to Datadog is I sent a thank you note. I connected with him back then. And then 17 months later, he saw the open to work thing on my profile. And then he reached out to me about a job at a director job at Datadog. A few things not to do on LinkedIn. Don't reach out to people and send them your resume and give people unsolicited work to do. I'm not here to do work for you. This stuff bothers the shit out of me. And it might work for some people, but if people are not asking for your portfolio or not asking for your resume, don't give them stuff. Don't give them unsolicited work to do. People are busy. Message in a bottle. Some people like to say when they lost a job, they send this note out, "Oh, I'm looking for a job. I need help." And I liken it to sending a message in a bottle. If you're stuck on a deserted island and you send them a bottle out, good, like maybe someone will find that. What I'd rather do is build the ship and figure out where you want to go to and target that. This stuff rarely works. And if you look at a lot of the comments in these, is spreading the word, commenting for better reach. So people are just pumping this up and, "Oh, sorry, this sucks," but no one's helping this person. And it's unlikely to go in front of the feed of someone that's going to help you because only about 6% of people, I think, are daily or like active users on LinkedIn. Not a lot of people are going to find this message. There's no need to post on LinkedIn if you're looking for a job. Like with certifications, if you want to build your brand on LinkedIn, go for it. But if you think it's to get a job, not worth your time. And there's a couple of exceptions when you should post on LinkedIn. Job change. If you have a public speaking opportunity, you might want to do like a humble brag. But it's not worth your time, honestly. There's the proactive efforts that I talked about before are much more effective. So like my impressions, I try to get a lot of impressions, but I'm doing this for a different reason. And when I was working until 2020 for companies, I would post maybe like once or twice a year. So I'll finish up with how Kadima helps you, and then I'll open it up to questions. But what Kadima does is over my 25-year career and 5 years of running Kadima, I've figured out how a job search works. And there are 6 steps to get a better job. And we call it the growth framework. Identify your goals, realistically assess and leverage your strength, including what we talked about here of leveraging your strength on your LinkedIn profile. O is outreach, and we talked about that a lot here about how to build an effective outreach to open those doors for you. 4th, we didn't talk about here. We did a little bit, working the system, getting the applications in the most effective way. Referrals and advocates, by the way, which we didn't talk about that, but working the system, getting those applications in, continuing to have informational interviews. Then train for interviews, didn't cover that here. And high impact negotiations, didn't cover that here. But that's essentially what we teach people at Kadima, and that helps them get $150,000 to $500,000 jobs at the world's top companies. Here are some of the people we got jobs at. There's no UX or UI people here. We have worked with UX and UI people. It's not all that different, honestly. And we do have UX and UI focused coaches, but getting a job is, if you have the subject matter expertise and you have that strength, then it's all about leveraging that strength to get into these companies in that function and role where you are strong at. We're giving away a free digital course on how to optimize your LinkedIn. We have one of our coaches, Margaret Boy, that created this awesome digital course. It's normally $129. We're giving it to you all for free. Carla's going to give you that link. Anybody wants to help me create a better LinkedIn banner, that can help me get the results that I want, and is to get more people to come to our free workshop, which you're all welcome to come to. It's next Monday. We will exchange a free half-hour coaching session with anybody who submits an example that we use. We might use a few different banners, and I'm happy to give you our color palette and our brand guidelines. Just DM me or shoot me an email, and we can make that happen.
That's amazing, Alan. Yeah, I have added the link to the course, also the link to Alan's LinkedIn, and you can see the actual banner today. And since he said already he wants to invite people to join the next webinar that is happening next Monday, I am going to do a banner too. You'll probably notice like we are here designers, and he touched a couple of times in survey and also A/B testing when he was talking about, yeah, I tried open to work, I tried to remove it. That's what we do for our work. So we should definitely do that also for our profile and see what's working, see what's not, see things depending on yourself. So I'm going to start with the questions, Alan. The first one here. It is possible to find a job using LinkedIn, because I am suspicious with applying from there if it's really possible. You said a bit about the easy apply, but do you still believe that's a good way?
No. The best way to apply for a job is first develop your target list of companies, at least 40 target companies. Bookmark or go to those websites on a weekly basis and see what jobs are newly posted for those companies. Apply on that site. Or better yet, leverage your referral or an advocate at that company to ping the hiring manager on your behalf. LinkedIn is like the last resort. It's the resort that most people rely on because they're not being proactive. But everybody is doing that. And I'm telling you, it's so easy to apply on LinkedIn. That's why we got 4,000 applicants for a contractor job as like an analyst on our team. And it was like so LinkedIn is a way to apply for a job. It's the one of the least effective in terms of response rate.
Yeah, I would even add that it's the good place for you to connect with people that work at those companies, kind of start a conversation with them to find the best people to their job role. So when you get in touch with this person again, you can get a referral for them. Actually, if they give you a referral and you get hired, they earn some money. So it could be also a good kind of deal there, right? So Sandy's saying, I struggle with posting something constantly because I feel like all the topics are posted already 1,000 times a day, and therefore don't post at all. But I read that you have to be online and posting all the time to be visible. How can I overcome this anxiety or struggle?
So first off, it depends what you're posting for.
I work in the UX design field. The problem right now is what I see oftentimes is that all the UX recruiters or all the UX people on LinkedIn say that you have to be visible, you have to post something about your career. It doesn't matter what you post and stuff. And I think this is my problem actually, that I think that everything is already posted like 1,000 times. But
Yeah.
how should I
So,
post
couple
something
things.
my way?
Next time you see some stupid advice like that, see me on the comments and say, "Hey, Alan, what do you think about this advice?"
Okay.
Because I would love to see the post of what someone said there and understand what their incentive is, because I bet they teach training on how to get more impressions on LinkedIn. Secondly, I'm telling you, it doesn't work. The link, like, even if you're going to try to create a personal brand, I would caution people about using LinkedIn for that personal brand for lots of reasons. There's other places to be on for personal brand, like Instagram or X or something like that, TikTok or something like that. So if you're looking for a job, next time anybody sees a post with advice about post more on LinkedIn to help get a job, please ask my opinion on that in the comments and tag my name. Because if you don't tag my name, I'm not going to get notified, and I'll gladly weigh in on what they're saying.
All right. Thank you.
And I might get blocked because I've been blocked by 25 people, including by Hala, by the way, Carla.
Oh, wow. So Christina asks, What are some suggestions on how best customize about section?
So don't overthink it. Try to be clear in your communication of the value you deliver. Understand that most people are not going to read it. The first 2 or 3 lines are the most important because if you look at anyone's about section, there's like only the first 2 or 3 lines, and then you have to click more. And I forget the exact character count, and it's different on mobile versus desktop. So don't worry about that, but just understand that beyond the first 2 or 3 lines, no one's going to read it. Very few people are going to read it. And then below the fold, make sure you include anything that anyone who actually cares will read about. Don't overthink it. Just get something out there. Make sure there's no typos in there. And don't, like, the about section is so minimally important compared to the proactive efforts that I was talking about.
Himani says, I would like to showcase my 10 plus years of experience on LinkedIn, which frames that I am perfect fit that attracts hiring managers.
No one's a perfect fit, and you're likely not going to attract hiring managers on LinkedIn unless you proactively reach out to them. Hiring managers are not typically just scrolling their feed. It's really about the proactive outreach. And then when someone lands on your LinkedIn profile, that it's clear the value that you deliver and why this hiring manager might want to talk to you.
Oh, good word there, Alan. You also remember I was talking about A/B testing. Now, Alan just said how you actually see if that was effective for you or not. How many people did visit your profile in the last days? So try to check that too, like if you change the banner, if more people went there, if you change your face, if more people went there, so all of that could help to you to check what makes impact.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth says, I always see advice like comment on people's work and offer value to build relationships.
Actually, this could work. So if there are people that you want to connect with, you see a post, if you comment on it, then you follow up to try to connect with them. Maybe not right away. Maybe if they're an active poster, you can like comment on them in a repeated message. It really depends on how hard they are to reach out to. If they have 2,000 followers, you can probably just reach out to them directly without commenting on their post. If it's Adam Grant, who has 2 million followers, you have something to add about something they posted. You might want to add something valuable, but don't sweat that part.
So, any advice for those trying to get visa sponsorship in the US?
Yeah. So I've managed lots of people with visa challenges. I've managed global teams and I've hired people with visas, not visas. I've had issues with it over, like, I'm a US citizen. I've not had challenges myself with visa stuff, but I've dealt with lots of hiring situations where it's occurred. My advice for folks that are dealing with visa challenges is don't share more information than you need to up front. Don't lie, but if they don't ask, don't tell. Get the job first, because once you get the job, there are times that the hiring manager will fight for you because of the turbulent rules and regulations that are going on in my home country. I also suggest that people do a two-pronged approach and they look primarily, if they're looking for the US, in the US, but secondarily in the countries that they are authorized to work in, at ideally multinational companies. Because I've moved people from Dublin to Seattle and from Moscow to Sydney and from Sydney to New York and Brazil, like Sao Paulo to New York. So these moves can be made internally. And while you want to work for maybe like Meta in the States, working for Meta in Hyderabad still pays a hell of a lot better than anyone else is getting paid in India. And they will move you maybe to Singapore, maybe to the States. So that's my suggestion for those with visa issues. And we work with clients like that and we strategize about how to increase their opportunities.
So, Christina is saying, how helpful are follow up emails after applying? Also, how do you find out if who to email to let them know you applied, a real person and you are interested?
There's different stages at different times. You don't want to overwhelm somebody, but every time you get interviewed, you should send them a thank you note, like a quick one via connection request. If you have other people within the company that you want to reconnect with them and make them aware that you're applying for that role and where you are in that stage of interview so that they can provide some surround sound feedback into the hiring folks to tip the scales in your favor.
So Matt said here a huge question. Let's see. Really useful and brutally honest tips. Thanks. I was told that having the right skills on your profile makes it easier for the right recruiters to find you. While I understand there are better uses of premium, I figured that getting the skills via the immediately hacky LinkedIn certification route would at least provide a level of authenticity by LinkedIn standards. That is just adding them manually to your profile. He said that if he does the course, it goes automatically from LinkedIn, but if it goes manually, it actually doesn't add this authenticity.
Don't overly worry about skills. Any skill that you have that is like a technical skill or some language that you like do, make sure that your skill is included in your profile. You have up to 100 skills that you can list. Don't worry about getting certifications to get you a skill, and don't overly think about the skills that you put on here. Like, just put them in there, because it is true that recruiters will look for skills. They don't care how many endorsements you have for it. And don't overly think it. And do not associate them with the specific job. If you look at my skills, I have 63 skills. So if anybody wants to endorse me for snarkiness, I'd appreciate that. On the skills here, you can't, like, for snarky, I could identify where was I snarky? At Kadima, at Tableau, like all these roles, but I don't click those, because if I do click it here, what happens is then it becomes noisy, and well, actually, it'll show up here. Snarky. Actually, I'll keep that one here. That's pretty funny. I've seen people list all their skills, and then you have ridiculous number of skills that folks have. People care more about the recommendations.
How can I, as a third-year university student, stand out for people to reach out for me to work?
No one's going to reach out to you. My two boys are second-year students, and they both called me today, and they're like, how do I get an internship? I was like, you got to fucking reach out to the companies. So that's what they're doing. People aren't coming to recruit you. My two boys go to good schools and they have good grades. And yeah, there are some companies coming to campus to recruit, but not the companies that they want. They want to work at Palantir, or they want to work at Stripe, or they want to work at SpaceX. I was like, they're not going to come to Actually, SpaceX does recruit at one of my kids' schools. You got to be proactive.
Yeah, I like the proactive thing too. I think in everything in life, the no you already have. So go for a yes. If you don't ask, you won't get it, right? So that's how Alan's here today. And thank you so much, Alan, for coming, for joining us, and for bringing all of this experience with LinkedIn, applying for jobs, getting better jobs. And I hope you all implement it. I will send the recording later on, as well as the link of the course fixed. And yes, shout out to Alan later on post on LinkedIn, add Snarky to his profile, create his banner. If you think that will be a cool activity, get 30 minutes with the man. He is amazing. He did not do the intro I told you about, but that one is incredible. So you have a lot to learn from him, and you should be following him from now on.
Thank you so much, Carla, for the kind words, and good luck, everybody. It's a tough job market out there. It's not impossible. I've been around in 2001 during the dot-com bubble burst. I was here during 2008 during the global financial crisis. It's not as bad as 2008. I think it's probably around 2001. But even in those markets, people got jobs. So it can be done. Our clients are doing it all the time. So really nice meeting y'all. And the last three words I'll leave everybody with are the three words I'll leave everybody with. Own your career.
The next hub meet will be about productizing services. If you are interested in creating your own career until you get the job you want, I would really recommend you to come join me, to think about what product you should be selling, to think about the market, and you learn a lot too as a designer. I love feedback. And feedback is not really only when you have good things to say, okay? So everyone here, I invite you to give me feedback on these sessions. And I'm doing this for you. So if I hear your feedback, if I see that you are watching the recording later on, if you have someone in mind that I could be talking with that could bring us some value, any of that, just please let me know. I'm learning together with you. Thank you again, Madalena, for supporting the cause. I really appreciate it. And I see you the next UX UI Hub Meet.